Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're talking about a pretty solid little entry-level optic that does not break the bank, that being this little Monstrum Blackbird 3X prism scope. If you're just getting started in the optics world or you're looking for an affordable sight for your rifle setup, stick around and see why this might not be a bad buy for you. Side note, I bought this with my own money, so you guys aren't going to get fed a bunch of garbage here. These are my own real thoughts. Let's do our script reading and then we'll hop into the video. Today's verse is James 1:19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Alright guys, at the end of this I'm going to talk a little bit more about the gun world and people's thoughts on budget stuff. I'm going to do a quick rundown though of the specs of this, and we'll talk about like real world use, why I bought this, the price and all that good stuff. But I think stuff like this is actually super valuable in the gun world, and unfortunately, doesn't ever really get talked about in my opinion, especially by a lot of bigger YouTubers who I think could do good by talking about some of this stuff and not only recommending $1,000+ optics, because I think this type of thing has a real place in the firearm world, even though it's cheap and it's not a duty rifle optic. Anyway, so if you want to hear more about my thoughts on that and this optic and other optics like it, I'll talk about that at the end. I won't bore you with it right now. Anyway. So, quick rundown, the general info on this real fast. Again, I won't bore you too much with that because you can find it all online. But again, Monstrum Blackbird, it's a 30mm 3X fixed magnification prism scope. It's an etched reticle, basically meaning you can see it without needing batteries. And it does though have green and red illumination options, so if you want to illuminate the reticle, you can. It's designed primarily for mid-range engagements, whatever you are engaging with. And that's anywhere from about 100 to 300 yards. 300 yards is kind of pushing it with this guy. We'll talk about that more in a bit, but very doable still. It is pretty big. Actually, it's gigantic. It's just over 5 inches long, and it weighs 13.9 ounces. Here is a Vortex Crossfire for you guys, pretty well-known little optic, compared to the Monstrum Blackbird. I can basically fit the entire Crossfire just on the riser of the Blackbird. So it's a big optic. Again, this is a prism scope and it has magnification, and this is just a red dot, so apples to bananas, apples to oranges, whatever. Not the same category, but still, this is a pretty big optic. It's a circle dot reticle. I'll show you guys that here, but they recently changed that for a new one that I don't have, so I'll just show you a picture from their website. It's not a full circle anymore. The new ones have shake awake technology. Again, I don't have that on this. This is an older model, so I can't really talk about that too much. The turret caps on here do have little notches on the top of them. If my camera would ever focus, I don't know. Hopefully you guys can see that. They have little notches on the top of them, and then on the inside, it tells you which direction is up and right, and it says half MOA, so you know how much each click is worth. Oh, there we go, there's focus. This is actually super nice because it mates up quite perfectly inside here in the turret, and it has good knurling on the edge of this cap, so you can really grab onto this thing, and it's super audible and firm clicks. It's not mushy at all. I'll shut up so you guys can hear that hopefully here. So hopefully you guys heard that. They're really good audible and physical feeling clicks, which is nice. Makes it easy to actually adjust your windage and elevation. And actually some even more expensive scopes that I've messed around with don't have quite as firm of clicks and audible of clicks. So anyway, nice little thing. Okay, done with all the little features. So why did I buy this? The biggest thing that made me give this optic a chance was the price. At the time of this video, it runs around $59 on sale, up to about $100 depending on where you pick it up. I got mine for 55 bucks about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year. But yeah, $55. And honestly, that is a fantastic price for this little prism scope. I think this is definitely worth more. And for anyone just getting started or kind of balling on a budget, this is one of the few optics in that price range that is not just complete trash, at least that I have seen. We all know there's a lot of junk out there, and pretty much everything on Amazon that you see, unless it's a big name brand, is just hot garbage. You know, all the cheap Chinese plastic, this is probably Chinese too, I don't even know, but all the cheap Chinese plastic out there that's just absolute garbage, all the red dots and stuff that, you know, are basically good for a Nerf gun. This is not like that, which is why I think it's really excels. Monstrum has actually delivered a pretty decent quality optic here. As for their other products, I have no idea if they're decent or not. You guys will have to let me know down below if you have any Monstrum optics and how they hold up. But this guy right here they did pretty well on it. So durability wise, Blackbird says it's shockproof, fog-proof, and nitrogen sealed. It's made from aircraft grade aluminum, and it's pretty solid. Like I said, this is a big, chunky boy. Definitely does not feel cheap. It's metal, aluminum, like I just said. It feels solid. And I haven't babied this. I've used it like every other optic I have. You know, I'm not, jumping out of helicopters and planes and throwing it out of a Humvee and slamming it through doorways or whatever. However, I use it like every other optic I have. I don't baby it. It's held at 0 just fine. I've had no issues with it. I've had no issues with the mount. The mount is just these 2 little screws right here, and then these 2 little lugs that tighten up to your rail. And I've had no issues with it holding 0 through normal use. I've taken it to Montana. I've shot prairie dogs with it. I've used it for target practice. I've used it to teach new shooters. I've used it for normal wear and tear things. I've dropped it before. Pretty standard stuff, and it's held up. The lenses still look fine on both sides. There's no crazy marring or damage. It's gotten wet before, and the battery compartment is held up just fine. The turret caps still tighten down nice and tight. No issues there. None of the threads have been messed up. So it's held up pretty darn well for, again, the price. I have no complaints there. This thing really is pretty much a tank. And it also has a lifetime warranty. So for $55, that's a steal. Getting a lifetime warranty on something this small. Most companies on cheaper budget items don't give you a lifetime warranty, so that's cool to see. And again, makes it, in my opinion, worth more than you're paying for. So the real world performance of this. The glass clarity, it's not terrible by any means. It's not great. It's not a primary arms scope or prism scope, whatever. But it's not bad. I have had no issues with making out and identifying targets with this. Again, shooting prairie dogs in Montana, they're small, they're fast, they're sticking their heads out of the ground. I had no issues finding and shooting them quickly. The clarity on this was just fine for that. Would I be able to shoot out to 1,000 yards with this? No. But for what I use it for, and what most people will use it for, you'll be just fine. And it actually has this little diopter on here. I believe that's what it's called. I'm spacing out now. If that's not what it's called, let me know in the comments below. But so you can adjust this to your eye. So basically, if it's not, the reticle and the sight picture aren't perfectly focused for you, you just twist this little guy until it focuses up, and it works just fine. And then you get a clear sight picture. The eye relief, it's not great. It's a prism scope, so it's kind of what you'd expect. It's got about a 3 to 3.5 inch standoff for where you kind of find that sweet spot. And you run it all the way back on your rail on your rifle over your charging handle. Maybe move your rear backup sight, and you get it far enough back, you shouldn't really have any issues with it on your rifle. Like I said, it's illuminated, which is nice. It's not the brightest illumination ever. It's not crazy bright by any means. If you look up towards the sun with this, it will wash out. It's not it's not bad. It definitely could be a little bit brighter on the 5th setting. It has 1 through 5, but I don't have any real complaints with the illumination. It works for, again, 95% of situations. Excuse me. I have this on my 22 rifle, and we have about 2,000 rounds roughly through it without any issues at all. Again, not being torture tested, but it's held up just fine through those 2,000 rounds. For the price, you're getting a pretty rock-solid optic without needing a magnifier. You don't need batteries for it to function. Doesn't feel like plastic or cheap junk like a lot of red dots online. Only the real con to this, in my opinion, other than if you don't like the way it looks, which is obviously subjective, the only real con is the size. It's pretty big. Not a deal breaker. I'm not clearing rooms with this thing, so I don't need some super light optic. Something light and small like this. So, not a huge deal. It is a little annoying how big it is. It takes up a decent bit of rail space for just 3 times power. But other than that, and maybe the eye box, again, being a prism scope, it's forgivable. Other than those 2 things, there's really no issues with this, in my opinion, for what you pay. It definitely is a solid little thing, little optic. So, would I buy it again or recommend it? I definitely would. I think depending on your use case, if you are new to rifles or looking to build a budget-friendly little rig, I think this would be an awesome little scope for you. It's a fantastic starter optic. It gives you magnification, clarity, and durability, and you're not emptying your entire paycheck on an optic. You're able to still get out and shoot with something more than irons, and you can buy more ammo or something instead of dropping a ton of coin on something, on an optic that you might not even like. And that's kind of another reason that this would make sense. If you're wanting to try out a prison scope, you're not sure if you like the concept of them, and you just want to try it out, I think this is a pretty decent little way to try out a prism scope, see if you like how they work and how they function. Again, knowing that you're not getting the top tier prism scope, so if you get a nicer one, it's going to be nicer. But knowing that, this is a good way to find out if you like prism scopes, or if it's something you would want to spend or invest more money on. Or if you just you don't want to drop serious coin on a squirrel gun or a plinking rifle or a gun that you're going to teach your kids with, and you don't need some crazy optic on, I think this is a really valid option. In no world at all does this ever replace higher end optics. I would never put this on a gun that was built for the purpose of self-defense. It would probably be okay, maybe, but this is not tested and thoroughly used and as durable as some other optics that are. So again, the purpose of why you buy it matters. But if you're not, it's not a professional grade optic. It does its job just fine though, and I have no qualms with it. And if you're the kind of shooter who just wants something simple and affordable, I definitely think this is worth a look. If you have used any Blackbird optics, guys, let me know down below. I'm curious your thoughts on them. It doesn't have to be the same one, obviously. If you got anything from them, let me know down below. I want to hear what you guys think. So, if you only came for this, great. That is my thoughts on the optic. It does just fine. It's a decent little thing. Nothing special by any means in performance or anything like that. However, it is special for the price that you pay and what you do get. So when you value the price, or when you add the price into what you get performance-wise, it is special. And like I said on the channel, trying to bring you guys stuff that is worth more than you pay. So there's that. Know why you're buying it, and that is important for what you're getting. But I kind of want to talk for a second about budget things in the gun world. So one, if you're new to the gun world, or if you've been in the gun world for a while, I think this is applicable to either person. And I fall into this too. In the gun world, you see all the fancy optics, you see all the fancy plate carriers and rifles and pistols and holsters and whatever, and you want to have them. I'm in the same boat. If I had unlimited funds, I would have all the nicest stuff without a question of a doubt. On my little 22 AR that this is on, I would have an ACOG or something. However, for 99.9% of us, that is not realistic, and it's pretty stupid to spend that type of money, unless you just have dumb money. It's pretty stupid to spend that type of money on a 22 rifle that you shoot 10 times a year, or that you're going to use for your kids who are going to drop it and who are going to ram it into a tree or whatever. It's dumb to spend that type of money on something that you can't afford. If you can afford it, great. If you can't, I think it's dumb. And you shouldn't be going into debt for firearms stuff. You'd be much better off, buying ammo for your 22 rifle with the $1,000 that you saved by buying this instead, in my opinion. At the end of the day, if you are buying this with a purpose, and you know what that purpose is, and this fills that role, I don't see any problem with it. So if you're kind of falling into the trap, which I have many times, falling into the trap of oh, it's just budget, or oh, it's not the best, or oh, it's just a average, not the best sight, it's not an EOTech, it's not an ACOG, it's not an Aimpoint, it's not Trichicon, whatever. If you're falling into that mindset, I would just encourage you to continue to explore if you don't actually need one. If you're building your home defense rifle or your everyday carry pistol, like I've said in my other videos, you should have the best optic that you can afford for those things. If you're trusting your life to it, get the best that you can get. However, something like this, I guess I don't have the rifle, but something like the rifle that this is on, in my opinion, there's no problem with buying a cheap optic. I don't know. It just bothers me. I guess I'm kind of going on a little rant, but it just bothers me because in the gun world, it's super easy to just be like, oh, look at that piece of garbage, or I'm not going to buy that, or it's so easy, again, to just see something and be like, I'm not going to buy that because it's not the best, and it's not what all the pros or the experts or the tactical guys are running, whereas something like this might suit you super well, actually. And again, would I recommend you go buy a cheap $5 or $10 optic off Amazon, a little red dot? Probably not. If it ends up being a little diamond in the rough like this guy, then yeah, I wouldn't see any problem with it. But otherwise, no. But again, I think YouTubers and tactical guys, whatever, do a lot of damage by only ever showing the best stuff or like mid-tier stuff. Where I think personally there is a place to show and a time to show something like this. So anyhow, I don't know. I'm kind of ranting at this point, so I'm just going to be quiet. But let me know, guys, what you think down below. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts. Follow along if you guys want to see more videos like this and other content that I put out. Yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful night. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.